What's going on, everybody? This is Dave from This is Pop Punk Promotions. I'm here with Clearfight from Kansas City, Missouri. How's it going, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Going good.
Great to see you guys again. Great to talk to you guys again. Let's jump right into it. So you guys just dropped a new song called Scumbag. How's the response been to it?
It's been good. We didn't really plan on dropping this song because we didn't really even have it written until we basically had a free weekend just to go into the studio. Some time opened up and we wrote it basically on the spot in the studio and came up with it in like 2 days. And, a couple weeks later, we're planning to drop this song. And so we were actually going to take a break from putting out music for a little bit and just kind of focus on playing some shows and stuff like that. But this actually ended up being probably one of my favorite songs that we put out so far. So
yeah, it's definitely usually my favorite too.
Yeah, so it's been good, man. It's weird right now because we're on such a lull in putting out music from our EP Don't Look at Me back last year that we're just kind of getting through the winter and we had some lineup changes that we kind of went through trying to kind of solidify our team. Basically, it's kind of the most important thing I think with a band when you're growing and you're kind of a younger band is make sure that you have the right team around you. And that's not shade to the other people that we've had in the past. It's just we have to have the right fit, the right kind of the corporate speak, the right culture, right? But like we have to have the right people around us. And now that we do, it's been kind of liberating for us to be able to get into the studio, put out music, start booking shows. We're looking at maybe putting on a couple weekend runs, hopefully this fall, and going into next year. So yeah, all things considered, it's been really good, and we're hoping that Scumbag will just get people excited through the summer into the fall as we start hitting some towns and playing some shows.
That's awesome. So how long does it normally take you guys to write a song, record a song, and then put it out?
I mean, from beginning to end process, that can be anywhere from like a couple days of writing a song to a couple of weeks. Usually, I don't think it takes us too long, but from like getting the song done on our own in some demo format to getting it into the studio, usually I'd say around a 2-week period at least.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I mean, Scumbag's a good example where like I wrote this chorus. It was like 2 a.m. and our guitarist Gabe, I was like joking around with him honestly about somebody that's just kind of a joke in our area of kind of a crappy person. And so I was just joking around. I was just writing like playing guitar being like, you're such a scumbag, and I'm just like messing around with it. And then like I kind of forgot about it. It was like a couple months later, our producer Kevin Gates, not the rapper but Kevin W. Gates, he had a weekend just kind of open up, and so we scrounged together the money that we had to go do another single with them. And yeah, I mean, it was just funny. I was like, Hunter and I were like, where are we going to record, and we had like a couple things we've been sitting on just messing with. And then I was like, well, wait, I have this chorus I've been meaning to show you. And then Hunter all of a sudden came up with like verses real quick, and like that song the framework was written in like an hour. And then when we went to the studio, it was really just putting the pieces together and like finalizing things like, how we wanted the drums to actually be. Kevin is a wizard with working with us, and his production abilities of just like kind of knowing who we are. And so when we got to the studio, he was just so easily jumping right into it and just being like, oh man, I know where we're going with this. And he's like going straight for the finish line with that song. And so we were able to just like write out a framework for a really cool song so quick, and then everything else we just wrote in the studio on the spot, and we're like, yeah, that's cool. No, yeah, I like this idea. So we're probably going to start doing that more because, like Hunter said, I mean, it's definitely my favorite song we've done so far. I know it's his, and like, if that's what it takes for us to put music that gets us this excited, is just we just show up in the studio and just figure it out instead of like putting all this emphasis into like, oh no, we got to sit and write this. I want it this way. I want it that way. It's like, why don't we just let it be what it is when we like write it on the spot, and like it either works or it doesn't, you know, like that's the fun of music. So we're yeah, I don't know, like it's just kind of interesting. I mean, now our EP, it took longer. Like, you know, Ripcord, we wrote that fairly quick, but like I wrote the majority of that song, and it took a while. Like I had parts that were quick, like the chorus was quick, but then like there was a verse that I probably didn't, it took like a month to actually write it out because I'm just like, I don't know what I want it to be. I want it to be something different. I end up kind of being this weird like Linkin Parkish sort of vibe, but it's cool. Like, I don't know. There, it like Hunter said, it can vary, but I feel like we're getting quicker because I think we're not doing the typical new band thing where we just sit there and like, you know, analysis paralysis our songwriting to death. So
That's awesome. So how would you say the writing process and the recording process for this song compares to your previous stuff, such as Ripcord?
This one was a breeze. A breeze.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing really is that it was just Hunter and I on Scumbag. Yeah. And so it's like, not that I don't love writing with Gabe and Zach. I mean, like Zach came and wrote with us on Shape Up, the song we put out before Scumbag. He was in the studio with us, and like he killed it on bass. It was awesome. And his input was, it was the first time we actually got to record something with him, and it was so much fun. But he couldn't make it for that recording session because, like I said, it was last minute. And so, you know, Gabe was busy with his you know, his other life. So was Zach, and you know, Hunter and I just happened to have the weekend where we could swing it. So it was just us. So it was very different because it was like less cooks in the kitchen, but that kind of allowed us to be more creative in different ways, right? Like you can kind of rely on the other people around you to come up with certain things that you don't have to worry about so much when you're in the studio. Like, I mean, I'll critique it obviously to a certain degree being a part of, you know, the group, but I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, Zach, you need to play the bass like this. Like, no, he's in the band because he's a killer bassist and I trust him, right? So this was different because we had to get that granular to a certain degree, which I get that way when I'm writing demos and stuff to take in the studio, but it's a lot different when you're working on the final product, right? So Ripcord was a lot different because we had a lot of cooks in the kitchen for at least Ripcord and Hate Parade, right? So we had our former bassist there with us. It was Hunter, Gabe, myself. Like we had a photographer documenting our studio, you know, recording sessions for that weekend. I mean, we had it was like a whole posse of people that were there for that EP, and like this, it was just very stripped down, but in the best way because we got to connect with Kevin in a lot of cool ways and coming up with really cool ideas, not just for this song, but like, you know, some marketing ideas around the song, right? I mean, coming up with like where we go from here, right? I mean, Kevin's really just he's like the sixth member of the band in a lot of ways. So it's very cool it's very cool for Hunter and I just to kind of connect with them and work on a song like this. Not to say that the experience with Ripcord was bad or worse or better or anything like that. It's just it gives different perspectives, which I think is good for us, you know, as an up and coming band.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really, really cool. So this is something that I'm always like interested in. When it comes to like the writing and recording process, what would you say is what part would you say is your strength, and then what part would you say you need to like improve on?
I mean, I know I need to improve on just knowing when to hit certain harmonies and what harmonies to put in. And that, like this most recent session with Kevin, we did a lot of work with him, just like kind of mentoring me a bit on how I should align harmonies and what note structure I should go for. I was raised a choir kid, always reading sheet music and stuff. So coming up with it on my own was a lot different years ago than it started becoming. And now I think we're really getting into a groove where we're kind of figuring that stuff out together.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Hunter.
No, I was just gonna say I think while it's a little bit of a weakness, it's also a strength because we kind of end up experimenting more with what we're doing, and it comes out with some really interesting stuff, right? Like the whole end of Scumbag, none of it was planned. So once I was in the vocal booth, it was kind of like sing whatever, and we'll see what fits and ends up in the final mix.
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's crazy thing is like Scumbag, I think Kevin said it was like 110 different vocal takes
Yes,
of just
yeah.
tons of layering and harmonies and like making it just sound as huge as it does. So that was fun. But I mean, for me, I feel like my biggest weakness that I've worked on, especially over the last year, is kind of the Scumbag's kind of that milestone for me of not doing the analysis paralysis of what we write. Like very much like, does it sound good? Does it feel good? Then it's good, right? I'm very like and Hunter can like I'm very anal, very meticulous about stuff.
Yeah.
And so like it's not in my nature just to be like, cool, whatever. And I think that was like a weird thing with that song is like it was fun for me to be that way and just say, cool, whatever, I like it. It sounds good. Like I don't have to like worry about it. Same thing with like handing things off in the band. Like I'm good at wanting to hand things off. I'm really bad at once I hand them off to actually leave them alone. So like I'll be like, Hunter, you deal with social media for a week. But then like if he's not doing it like the way I would, I'll be like, what the F, man? And I'll just like jump in and start doing it. So it's kind of like that's something I've worked on. My strengths though, I feel like I've gotten better at looking at like vocal melodies, guitar melodies, and really pinpointing what is the right mix of like being a guitarist and wanting to like just write like fun stuff for me to play versus what I know people are like gonna just vibe to and listen to and enjoy. And Scumbag's a example of that where like there's a guitar solo in it, but it is the most poppy like Jonas Brothers BS solo ever, and I love it because it's like typically like you look at like a solo on like Goldmine or something, and I'm like doing all sorts of like bends and all this like BS, and it's like I love that, it's fun, but it's not necessary all the time. Like sometimes simple is better, and so I feel like I've gotten better at that, like just being good with doing the simple stuff and having fun with it versus me feeling like I need to write something that's complex that is fun to me and fun to the band, but not necessarily means anything to the audience other than we did it, right? Like that doesn't like it's all about experience when you're putting out a show or putting out music, and like you can either be the band that everybody's like, man, they're so technically proficient, but like I don't really give a crap, or you can be the band where it's like, no, they made me feel something, right? And that's where I'm more excited about is like getting people to feel something when they hear our music. So that's been my thing. Like I feel like I've gotten better at that. I feel like I've been strong at like writing vocal melodies and stuff, and now I'm focusing even more on like my part around the guitar, and I've been giving Hunter a lot more leniency on that without me being my like anal controlling self sometimes with that stuff. So like it's a fun thing. Like Hunter and I've had a lot of good experiences trying to like figure out the right mesh of creativity between us. So
Yeah, it's nice. I think we both come from opposite spectrums too, where I like you said earlier about being the one to just be like, it's whatever, sounds good, That's my type of thing. And Colton always gets more into the technical. So like this song it's that nice middle ground where we kind of like just let everything go and just did what was fun with it. And whatever came along just happened.
That's sick. And that's what it's all about. So do you guys think for like the next song, EP, album, you're going to stick with Kevin, or do you think you're going to switch it up and go with somebody else? Like, what do you guys normally do?
That's a $64,000 question there, Dave.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, there's very few producers that we've worked with. I mean, in general, if we're speaking like literally, I mean, we've worked with like 3 or 4. But Kevin's the only one we've actually worked with in person.
Yep.
Right. So when this band started, it was like mid-COVID, and we were recording stuff out of my like home office and then sending the tracks to Seth Henderson, who was mixing them for us. And then our buddy John Niclario was doing our mastering. And then it was kind of like, okay, we're starting to kind of get out of that. Like people are getting out of their house again. It's not feeling like we're in the apocalypse again. So it's like, maybe we can like find somewhere to go. And, Save It off the last EP, we actually recorded here, and Seth mixed it. And then Dropout was done by Matt Malpass, who that was once again like a remote mixing type thing, but he did a ton of production on it. And awesome guy. I mean, Matt is awesome to work with. But it's just like it's hard to do that, thing where you're not able to be in person. You're not able to give that real time input. Right. And it's not to say that Matt didn't absolutely crush it with Dropout, because he did. It's just, it's hard for us as a band because we're sitting there wanting to be a part of that. And there's a certain layer of like, eventually you just say, you know what, it's not that big a deal. I'll just let it go. I mean, it's cool. It sounds good. I don't want to have to keep doing it back and forth with him. He has other stuff going on. Like, there's that mentality that can like subconsciously kind of take over when you're working with people remotely like that. Right. And so Kevin, him and I were talking since like Clearfight started, like about working together. And the opportunity just kind of presented itself where I wrote Ripcord, wrote Hate Parade, I sent it to him, and he was like, you got to let me work on this kind of thing. And I was like, all right, like, it's been too long. We're going to do it. Finally, we went and did it. And now it's just kind of the addicting thing. It's like, we just kind of keep working with Kevin. That being said, like, we may have like another song that we'll put out this year. It's actually from our very first EP that is like getting remixed and kind of reproduced in a lot of ways. So we may have a song coming out, and that's not being done by Kevin. That's being done by a friend of ours who, it's kind of like a little kind of a secret project that he has going on for some other stuff. But we may have another song that's going to come out. It's kind of a fresh take on an old song. But other than that, I mean, it's hard for me to predict that because there's things that can happen. I don't want to say, hey, I mean, if a label comes through and they had a preference on who we worked with, I mean, but if I have a say, like, I'm very happy with working with Kevin. So it's, no issues on that end, but, Hunter, I'm sure you probably feel the same way, but
I love working with Kevin. I mean, the thing is working with Kevin, it just kind of feels like destiny aligned itself for me in many ways. I don't know. I always tell my friends back home that I'm working with other Fort Wayne alum producers, because Kevin has worked with people from my hometown out in Indiana area. So it's just that's what really drew me into it. But as we started working with Kevin and getting into the studio, his personality, his workflow, and just the overall product that he gives us at the end of the day just ends up surpassing all of my expectations with him every single time. It's always a fun experience.
I mean, the only thing that, has ever made us consider switching is that he's a Dolphins fan, but we try not to hold it against him. So
Yeah, God bless him. I'll be keeping my thoughts and prayers.
Please
I mean,
do.
I'm not a big NFL guy, but if I had to, I'm more of a European football guy. Go Man
Mhm.
United, glory, glory, Man United. But if I had to support a NFL team, it'd be the Jets, which isn't much better.
No, it's not. But I mean,
No.
we also will not hold that against you. So
I
we'll
appreciate that.
we'll pretend we last 10 seconds didn't happen. That's fine.
Well,
So
my defense, I'm from Jersey, so I feel like I kind of have to support them.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You can be a
Originally from
Giants
Jersey,
Yeah.
live in
fan
Hershey.
though.
Oh, Giants,
be.
absolutely not.
That's
Absolutely not. But no, that was awesome, and I really appreciate you guys coming on again and chatting up a little bit. And the new song is really, really good. I played
thank
it
you so
I
much.
played it the other day. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. I'm like, honestly, I felt when I was listening to it, I felt that something. I felt, like this is how like pop punk is supposed to be. Like it's supposed to be like fun and just like full of energy. And it's not supposed to be original. It's not supposed to be, different and all that. And yeah, it was absolutely awesome. And you guys should be really stoked.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
I
Yeah,
think we're
no, I
both
mean,
very proud of it.
yeah. I mean, it's a very nostalgic vibe for me. I mean, it gives me such 90s kind of alternative kind of vibes, I mean, like when I wrote it, my first gut was like, this brings me back to like listening to like Third Eye Blind self-titled. You know what I mean? Like it's very much that for me. And Hunter is definitely more of like the true like pop punk kid. I'm not.
Yeah.
Like I'm very much like I grew up on 90s alt music and like was a big fan of like that pop rock era of like Goo Goo Dolls, Third Eye Blind, Eve Six, like that whole kind of life was what I grew up on. So that's where my writing style really, really focuses. And Scumbag was the first time I feel like I really got to kind of let that shine in a song that made sense for us. So the fact you liked it means a lot. So thanks, man.
Of course, man. Well, I hope you guys have a great night. And also one more thing. So for the people who are going to watch this interview at, where can they find your music at?
Yeah. So anywhere you do your music streaming, you can look up Clearfight. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at We Are Clearfight, and also Twitter, I believe, at Clearfight, or TikTok, I mean, at Clearfight. So yeah, I mean, just check us out. We're, like I said, Scumbag just came out about a week ago. We're going to be hopefully doing some weekend runs. So if we're going to be hitting up a town near you, hit us up. Maybe we'll just sneak you in the door or whatever, give you a shirt, and you can get rowdy in the pit for us. So
that's what it's all about. And don't be in a scumbag and actually listen to the song and buy it and buy their merch and, support local music.
Yeah, make sure to visit
Absolutely.
clearfight.com. We got plenty of cool merch up there.
Yeah, get it out of my closet, please, so we can buy new merch. That'd be great. Thank you.
I hope you guys have a great night, and we'll chat soon.
All
You
right.
too.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
See ya.